Yo, check out my website, www.theclownthompson.net. That's clown spelled with K as you see here. As you see, here are my rants here. I'll be more and more regular in posting rants in the future. You see what I have going on here. Also, you can also get your merch here at www.cafepress.com. Search for the Clown Sports. You see here I have sweatshirts, hoodies, baby gear, mugs, t-shirts. So just come on over and grab yourself some merch. You see my partner here with the Talking ACC Sports Monica because we're going to talk more about ACC, whether you're going to like it or not, because we have a team that's going for the national title, and ACC basketball is going well right now, but that's maybe for the night, maybe for another podcast. Who knows? But either way, we're happy. So anyway, to introduce y'all know who he is. He's on the All Sports Discussion ACC Sports blog. My man, Jeff Fann, is back in the house. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Glad to be on.
Right on. So speaking of the national championship, let's get right to it. Miami, the freaking Miami Hurricanes, the last one in the field, literally as the 10th seed, is in the national championship game, beating Ole Miss 31 to 27. Um, Carson Beck had led a drive for the ages, scoring a touchdown, I think with 18 seconds left, if I'm not mistaken. So before I get into my own analysis, give my 2 cents. What are your thoughts on that nice game and what stood out to you?
Yeah, incredible for Miami and their fans. It's also, it's good for your conference when that happens. And
Yes.
the ACC um, finished the year 8-6 against the SEC. If I'm Commissioner Jim Phillips, I'm touting that from now until the start of next season.
You betcha.
Um, there's a lot more to it, but you get a team in a national championship game, and it gives you credibility when you go into these playoff discussions. And
Absolutely.
no one can look at it, from the Big Ten or SEC side and say, "Hey, we're just gonna do whatever we feel like doing," because it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we had a team that played in a national title game, and might very well win it. So we'll see what Jim Phillips does with that. But for Miami, what I really took from that game, the final was 31-27.
Yep.
Uh, but I honestly, I feel like Miami played their B minus C plus game
Mm-hmm.
and they still won and they still look
Mm-hmm.
like the better team the entire game.
Right.
At no point in that game, other than, Trendon Chambliss, you know, doing Trendon Chambliss things there in the fourth quarter, did I think, could they actually lose this game? I
Right.
mean, once you get in the fourth quarter and it's a close game, then you kind of can throw out, all of the statistical stuff and all the pregame stuff. And I felt like going into the game, I thought Miami was better at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, better team. And but then it got into the fourth quarter, and I was like, okay, who are you gonna take? You got Chambliss on one side, who has just been, you know, on an absolute heater as a quarterback
Yes.
and playing. I know they want to say Mendoza is the best quarterback of the playoff, but for the situations that he was in and the opponents that he faced, I think Chambliss had been playing the best of any of the quarterbacks in the playoffs. Just willing Ole Miss to that semifinal. But here's what I took from that game. I thought that if it got down to those two quarterbacks, advantage Ole Miss. But
Mm.
Carson Beck, he really showed something there, leading Miami on that
Yes,
final
he did.
game-winning drive. That really showed something on how he can lead that offense, and when Miami is right, what they can do. Um, I thought that Miami did not play that well. Like I said, I thought it was like their C plus or B minus game. I thought they played much better against Ohio State. Um, that offensive and defensive line, though, are so good that I mean, you could play what I felt like was not a very good game and still beat a team that's going to finish in the top five and feel like you just didn't really even play that well. That's how well I think Miami overall is playing. going into that game. So, just kudos to Miami, their staff, Cristobal, Carson Beck, Ruben Bain, Mesidor, Malachi Tony, Fletcher, all those guys. They go into that Indiana game, and I think they have a really reasonable shot of winning. So that's my thoughts on last week. I don't know if you're ready to get into that game ahead yet.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. Let me say this. Let me just add to what you said about the Ole Miss game. Looking at the stats and watch the game over, Miami should have won by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about it, because they held the ball for 41 minutes compared to 18 and a half for Ole Miss. Ole Miss couldn't really stop them. Miami stopped Miami. Miami had 10 penalties. 10. They had a tipped interception in the red zone that wasn't necessarily Beck's fault.
Right.
And I counted at least 4 dropped interceptions, 2 of which could have been easily pick sixes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they come up with even one of those picks, it's a double-digit loss.
Exactly.
And if they come up with all 4, you're looking at an Oregon, Indiana type, smashing.
Yeah, again, watch the game. It felt like there should have been a woodshed game for Miami. It should have been a woodshed game. Aside from that one long touchdown run by Lacey, the outstanding running back for Ole Miss.
Right.
That was Miami's game. Even to your point, even with Miami playing a C plus B minus game at best, it was Miami's game. It's just that, again, the bad Miami crept in, right? With the untimely penalties and the dropped interceptions on the defensive side of the ball. They had a stupid personal foul penalty on defense, which led to one of Ole Miss scores. I mean, it's, again, credit for Ole Miss for being resilient. That's a great story. Great story. Yep. They stuck it to Lane Kiffin. I'm glad that they did that. But this should have been a wish of the game, but congrats to Miami nonetheless to making it to the national championship. I think he has some more to say too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, you got to give credit to Ole Miss, dealing with all the coaching turmoil, the Lane Kiffin distraction. I mean, if they would, that would have been an CE team that you can get behind.
Right.
Because, I mean, it was all about the players, Ferris State quarterback. And, I mean, you just got to really respect how Golden and that staff, almost got Ole Miss to the national championship game. And I know we've been talking that Miami was better, and they were. Mm-hmm. But, if Ole Miss can make one play in the fourth quarter, it would have been them there, even if we thought that if they played again, Miami would win 8 out of 10 times. On that day, it could have been Ole Miss's day. I mean, you're right, Scott. That is a really resilient bunch.
Yes. And again, props to Ole Miss. I don't know if they're going to be anywhere near the playoff next year with their losses, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But credit to them. Credit to them for coming this close to sticking it to Lane Kiffin. Screw him. And hey, I'm with Ole Miss on this. I'm with Ole Miss on this. That was a bad situation with Lane Kiffin, but it is what it is. One last thing before we get to the national championship game. You mentioned it earlier, touched on it. With Miami in the national championship, how huge is this for the ACC? You could imagine all the smack talk throughout the season, right? And rightfully so, it was earned. I mean, we had a stupid tiebreaker system that kept the best team in your conference out of the conference championship and allowed a 5-loss team in Duke to not only make the championship game, but win it. Credit to Duke. And Duke won his bowl game against Arizona State. Credit to them. Bravo to Duke. But at the same time, we all should have known that should have been Miami and Virginia in that championship game, but it's not a here nor there. But the point is, with all that talk, with all the weeping and gnashing of teeth on the ACC, with all the pundits, Paul Feinbaum, all those guys on ESPN, Fox Sports, whoever, taking pot shots at the ACC all season long for Miami, A 10th seed Miami. Again, the last at-large team in the field to be in the national championship game. You know Jim Phillips is dropping several mics and flipping many a bird to the college football world right now.
Yeah, I mean he needs to be. I hope he's doing that, in his own way when he gets in these commissioner meetings because I
Yes,
mean the narrative against the ACC and we'll admit when you lose games you open yourselves up to that and
absolutely.
they last year 2-11 in bowl games and people are having them down there talking about pulling away with the SEC and Big Ten, and should the Big 12, ACC even be involved? And I mean, you can't
Right.
have that discussion anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not after going 9-4 in bowls, getting a national championship team. It would have really been kind of interesting and I think good in a way if Texas Tech wouldn't have face planted against Oregon.
Right.
Um, then you really had something by saying there was a Big 12 team in the semifinals too, but of course they were a no-show offensively.
Right.
I mean, their defense showed up and played pretty well against Oregon, but the offense was a no-show. So,
Yeah.
for the non Big Ten, SEC, again, the ACC is having the one to hold up that end of it, like
Sure.
they did during the Clemson and years, and even back to 2013 with Florida State.
Florida
But
State. Yep.
you know, I think it is big for the league, but now it becomes a matter of what does Jim Phillips do with it? Does
Right.
he really go there and say, "Hey, we are one of the best athletic conferences out there. You can't dismiss us in the playoff discussion." Does he go to ESPN and say, like, "Look, come on, you told us that our league is more valuable if we win more football games. We got the number 2 team or number 1 team in the country is going to be at the end of the year. We won all these bowl games. We got all these top 25 teams. You know, I, even if they can't do anything about the contract, I don't know. But I mean, if I'm Jim Phillips, I'm going back every day and saying, you told us to win. That's what we did.
Right.
And I mean, I think there was something like 8 or 9 teams that won 9 games in the
Mm-hmm.
ACC. And
Yep.
I think last time we talked about all the bowl wins, Duke and Wake Forest and Virginia doing it against Virginia. And I mean, you just go on and on. I mean, this has been the best postseason for the conference since 2016. That's almost 10 years.
Yeah. And speaking of those 9 wins you mentioned, I count one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 teams that have 9 wins or more. 2 teams with wins double digits in Miami and Virginia. And you got 3 more, I think, 2 more teams with at least 8 wins in Duke and Pitt. So that's like 9 teams. That's 9 teams. And the fact that they went 9-4, including Miami's performance in the college football playoff and bowl games, with that includes Virginia beating a good Missouri team. They knocked out Missouri's quarterback. So you can't say that they didn't play with all their players. And Duke beating a good Arizona State team, same with SU beating a very good Arizona team. These were good wins.
Yeah,
These are very good wins. And I count Louisville beating Toledo. Toledo, even though Toledo's a group of 6 squad, they're a pretty good group of 6 squad. As is
yeah,
NC State beating down Memphis. So look, you're right. Jim Phillips should be tooting his horn. He should be Rob Sankey on steroids. I don't think that's going to happen because he's so much of a suit. I mean, he's so much of an administrator. I always say he's the most feckless commissioner of all sports, pro and college. And I think he's going to go sit there, all polite, with his 3-piece suit. He's a lawyer, and just sitting there. Yes, well, we'll this is good for the conference. It's good for college football, and that's it.
yeah. I
He's
mean, could
not
you
going to get it
imagine?
blow or anything like that.
Could you imagine if Brett Yormark and the Big 12 had a team in a national title game
Oh my
and
God.
had a 9 bowl win? I mean, he'd be on every television station, in the country on ESPN,
Man,
ESPN2. He'd be everywhere, you
You
know,
ain't kidding.
and I'm not saying Jim Phillips has to do that, and we all understand that bowl games have opt-outs,
Sure.
and so they probably got more criticism last year than they deserved, and maybe even more praise than they deserve for this year. But the fact
Right.
is that it sets the narrative in the
Right.
off season, and
Right.
whether there's opt-outs or not,
Mhm.
the media is going to return to that when you do good and when you do poorly. And in a kind of a rare flip, you've seen how the SEC has really gotten hammered for the first time
Mhm.
ever. I mean, they've really gotten hammered nationally for now going 3 years without a team in a national title game, and I think they
Right.
were like 4-8 or 4-9 or something. You know,
Yeah.
even Feinbaum had to admit that the Big Ten had surpassed the SEC. I mean, they're just, this
That
is
was
like a
funny.
position they probably hadn't been in like 30 years.
That was funny hearing Paul Feinbaum just cry and weep like sitting on sackcloth and ashes. That's a biblical reference, by the way. But just sitting there, just pensive and sad,
Yeah,
and had a moment of clarity, a moment of unbiased clarity. Yes, my conference sucked this past year. We crapped the bed, we scooched the pooch or whatever. We finished 6-8 against the ACC in football this year, including the bowl games, and it,
yeah.
it
The,
was
the
funny.
crazy thing,
Go ahead.
it definitely was. But wait. When it comes back to SEC media days in July, Greg Sankey will be talking. He'll probably be back again saying
Oh,
they
of course he
deserve
will.
like 7 teams in the playoffs or something.
Of course. That's what makes Greg Sankey Greg Sankey. And please, I ask Greg Sankey, do not change. Do not change. This is who
Yeah,
you
Jim
are. Same
Phillips.
with Brett Yormark. Do not change. We
Just get
need
a
your
little bit of that,
personalities.
Jim. Just get a little bit of that. I
Yeah.
had to say one thing
Yes.
in the ACC, and we've been following it for a long time. I mean,
Right.
they have been like terrible at promotion for years and years.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of questioning. I'm definitely with you on Jim Phillips. Like, come on, get out there even more. But I do have to say, the ACC network over the
Mhm.
last like 24 months, ever since, if there's one thing that came out of Florida State, getting that injustice of getting left out. I mean, they've got people. You can go to the ACC network. I
Yes.
mean, and they are really promoting and marketing the conference in a way that they really didn't do that much before.
Right.
The social media account, the ACC football, they had their campaign with Miami to get into the playoffs, and they're always posting, things promoting. I mean, I don't know about Jim Phillips, but like those kind of surrounding the league, the network,
Mhm.
the social media, I had to say it has gotten better. It
Yes.
took a while,
Absolutely.
but it has gotten better.
And it too much to Notre Dame's chagrin. But
Yeah.
I do agree that the ACC network stepped up. Its pundits stepped up.
Yes.
Eric McLean
Yeah. He
really, it's become the sounding board, sounding piece for the ACC. And Roddy, God, what's his last
Oh,
name?
Roddy Jones.
Roddy Jones, yes, Roddy Jones, EJ Manuel, all those
Yep.
guys. They did they did a hell of a job. Jimbo Fisher, Boston College's former coach, I forget his name.
Adeazo, Steve
Yeah,
Adazio.
Steve Adazio, yes. They all did a
Yeah.
great job
The host,
with the league.
Taylor
Yes,
Tannenbaum, I think.
Taylor
Yeah, she's
Tannenbaum,
always
yes.
posting things. I mean, they got
Mhm.
Dave Clawson up there,
Yes.
Mark Ricks, saying them. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Scott. They've definitely done a better job. And McClaney, I think he's been the guy out front, doing
Oh,
it,
absolutely.
which is good for them because for their side they get to cover the national championship game. So
Yes. And he's out front and just letting everybody know.
yeah, he is. He is. He's out front, I would say, of all of them. But I mean,
Mhm.
Eddie Royal, he's on there too, and they've
Yes,
all
yes.
definitely
Virginia
promoted
Tech,
the
great.
ACC, and
Yep.
the network definitely has, and the coverage from ESPN. I mean, it's basically been the Miami Hurricanes channel over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which it should be. I mean, you
Right,
win.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I
That's your
mean,
best team. That's your
yeah,
best
you got the
team.
best in the playoffs. You deserve wall to wall coverage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of which, we'll close the show on this. The national championship game. Indiana, Miami, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It won't be a home game per se because, as we found out, Indiana fans travel.
Yep.
They really travel. I mean, hell, that was the Beach Bowl against Oregon. That was like a de facto home game for Indiana. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
given all that, how Indiana more and how crazy is this in this year of college football that we say Indiana football is a power. Indiana football
Yeah.
is undefeated and powerful. But anyway, given what's going on, we'll go into the matchups later. But what shot do you give Miami of pulling off the ultimate Cinderella story? Being again the last at-large team in the field, it's this chance, one game away of closing the deal and restoring what we know as the U in college football.
I give Miami a very good chance of winning this game. As far as I'm concerned, if I was a betting person, this
Mm-hmm.
is a pick 'em game, or
Sure,
maybe going in, I might make Indiana a slight favorite, and this is
sure,
not disrespecting Indiana because of their name or because they don't have this 80% blue chip ratio. Um, it's because I think Miami has really been disparaged over the last week.
mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at a lot of the media and the people talking about the game, I mean, you would think Indiana is playing like a directional state school. I
Right,
mean, some people aren't giving them any chance in the and here's the thing, they can talk about the game, and every one of them will admit that Miami is as good at the line of scrimmage, if not better than Indiana, and then
sure,
turn around in the same discussion say, well, Indiana 31-14. I mean, have you ever heard that before in a game
mm,
preview where the opponent is at as good at the line of scrimmage and by most accounts maybe even better, but yet somehow they don't have a chance to win that game. I don't understand. I never heard that
crazy.
before,
It's crazy.
ever. If you predicting a blowout, you always say, "Well, they're better at the line of scrimmage," and
Right,
no one will say that Indiana is like considerably better than Miami at the line of scrimmage. But it's like they can't separate what's on the field versus some of the scores Indiana put up, which Indiana may very well be the best team in the country.
right.
And they can absolutely win it and go 16-0.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some context to these games, what Indiana did. Alabama was terrible. We got to be honest.
Yeah,
They came into the playoff blown out by Georgia, had the game handed to them by Oklahoma,
right.
and was anybody that surprised that they lost to Indiana in that kind of fashion? Maybe not
Mm-mm.
quite 38-3, but I mean, to a person, I don't think I knew anyone that didn't think Alabama would stay within double digits or single digits of Indiana. And then if you watched Oregon against Texas Tech, I mean, that offense was a mess
Right.
against Texas Tech.
Right.
And who expected them to go I mean, they were down to their fourth string running back, two coordinators that had 1 foot out the door. They
Mm-hmm.
had, I think, 12 players injured. Yeah, I didn't expect a 50, whatever it was, like 56-23 game. But I mean, if you watch Dante Moore against Texas Tech, I mean, it was the same quarterback and the same offensive line that got beat up in
Right.
that game.
Right.
And so the results, when you look at them in the context, weren't that surprising. And Miami is so good on their offensive line. Um, they're saying, oh, Indiana, they'll be able to match up so much better because Oregon's offensive line is big and Miami offensive line. I mean, Miami has all Americans and first
Right.
rounders on their offensive line.
Right.
Oregon does not.
Right. Absolutely.
Miami has two first rounders on their defensive line, and Oregon, while not being bad on defense, I mean, neither Alabama or Oregon are anywhere in the same hemisphere of what Miami can bring.
Yeah.
And I would say Miami has been a lot more battle tested going
Mm-hmm.
into the playoffs. I mean, you played
Sure.
in front of 100,000 at Texas A&M. You played against arguably the second or third best team in the country, and someone who went toe to toe with Indiana right before the playoffs started, Ohio State,
Yeah.
and then you played the hottest quarterback in the entire playoffs. I do think Chambliss, given who he had to beat and how he had to play, was the most dangerous, hottest quarterback, and you beat him too.
Hmm.
So I've had a hard time understanding how Miami has been so disparaged going into this game.
Right. It's totally disrespectful. So what's the prediction if you have
I do want to call it upset, and here's where I'm going to give the compliment to Indiana.
one? Yeah.
I mean, their execution is flawless almost. I mean, they
Right.
don't fumble the ball, or when they do fumble it, they recover it. Mendoza doesn't throw interceptions. They don't pick up penalties. Their players are not ever out of position on either side of the ball. They're so well coached. But if Miami can play a clean game, and this isn't like they have to win a turnover battle, because I don't think you could go into the game with Indiana thinking, "Hey, I'm going to, get 3 turnovers against them, and they'll have zero." But you got to not lose it.
Right.
You got to take care of the ball and at least
Right.
hold your own against it. And if Miami can do that, where they don't do like Oregon did and Alabama did early, I fully expect this game to get into the fourth quarter. And man, I really wish I had the guts to call it. But
It's
you
okay,
know
dude. It's
you know what the heck? I'm going to say Miami finds a way, because
hmm
I think that's another thing. Indiana's had huge home crowd advantages. It's not going to
right.
be a home game, but it's going to be a lot more 50-50. And I
Hmm.
think what Miami is going to be able to do is they have the anatomy of the kind of team that can give Indiana trouble. Iowa, Penn State, Ohio State, they can lean on that running game. They got a power running game. They don't have to go back to Carson Beck's arm. And, if they're not picking up 2 or 3 penalties a drive and they take care of the football, they get it into the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna. I think they'll pull it off in a close game. I do.
Yeah.
I think they're that good at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I agree with you, dude. That's great. Either way, this is going to be a great storyline. Two teams that would not expect to make the championship game before the season started. People thought that Indiana was a fluke from last season, right? But but yeah, I'm with you with everything else. Miami to me has better offensive defensive lines. I think Indiana is better coached. I
Yeah,
think since both coaches come from the Nick Saban tree, so to speak. But I think to me, and I like Fernando Mendoza as a quarterback. I think he has a great future in the next level, on the next level. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I got Miami 21, Indiana 19.
yeah,
I think it's a very, very close, low scoring game. If again, as long as Miami plays it clean, as long as they don't commit stupid penalties, as long as they remain focused, I think it'll be a very close, hard fought game for the ages. And we'll be saying throwing up the U sign
yeah.
back.
I mean,
I think we'll be throwing
I-
that up.
if the Miami team that played Ohio State plays against Indiana, they're gonna win.
Yes,
They'll win that game 24-20 if the one that
absolutely.
played Ohio State shows up.
Right.
But if it's the one that played against Ole Miss, and this is kind of like looking at it and saying how good Miami is, but also how good the opponent is, because
Hmm.
Indiana's a massive step up in competition
Oh,
from Ole
absolutely.
Miss,
Yeah.
from a massive step up from what the best the SEC has to offer, if we're being honest. But if they play like they did against Ole Miss, they're going to
Yeah.
lose like 31-17.
Sure. Oh
But
yeah, I
I
could
feel
definitely see
like
that.
Cristobal is going to correct a lot of those mistakes you saw against Ole Miss. They said something like 20 players had the flu in that game
Mm,
too, and
mm.
I think he's going to take this time. He's going to get those things corrected.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So as always, tell the people where they can find you on social media and your website, the great website.
Yeah, you can find me at Talking ACC Sports and, following college basketball this week, and the rest of the season. If you all saw Boopy Miller from SMU hitting a half court shot to,
That was
to
wild.
knock out Virginia Tech. I mean,
That
that
was
was
wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Stanford, I know you don't mind this, knocking off North Carolina.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
we got
you, Cardinal.
we got NC State starting to get kind of hot here, playing
Yes.
playing well. Clemson, in Virginia, playing lockdown defense and finding ways to get their offensive going. So yeah, ACC basketball, really good. And then of course we got the national championship game on Monday night, which I really do expect a close game. But yeah, Miami's got to take care of the ball. Don't be careless with it because
Right.
Indiana will absolutely exploit every mistake you make. You pick up a 5-yard penalty, it's more like 15.
Right.
You miss that tackle, that 5-yard gain becomes 20. So they got to be on point. They're going to have to play very well. You can also find me blogging at allsportsdiscussion.com and podcasting with my partner Matthew on Sunday nights. We may not have it this Sunday, but we'll be back on it next week.
Right on. And so please check Jeff out. Again, as I always said, if you're an ACC sports fan or a college sports fan, period, go to his website where you see him and Matthew Warren doing their thing, blogging away. And thank y'all for tuning into the nice edition of the podcast. Please continue to check me out on Facebook and my website, www.theclowntimes.net. This Clown spelled with K as always. So take care. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the national championship game. We out.
Take care, Scott.
Take care.